What makes electronic music from Detroit so special? Well, I mean, let's start from the beginning. If there was no Detroit, there would be no fucking electronic music in the first place. Everything is, everything has a genesis. And we in the city are privileged enough to be able to stand boldly and confidently on the fact that the genesis for electronic music in terms of techno, house, downbeat, experimental, hip hop, all have their origins in this place that we love so dearly, Detroit City.
What up, though? Where you from? From.
Detroit music is important to me because it represents so many facets of music. At the core of it, it all comes back down to gospel and the blues and soul music as it relates to black people being in America. That music is an offshoot of the hymns that we used to sing when we were far away from this land. And we use those genres of music to reinterpret, speaking to those spirits, our ancestors, our gods, our own truths. So I think that gospel, the blues, R&B, they serve as a cornerstone for music that doesn't even reflect it. You know what I mean? Like the strings in a song are meant to kind of implement the voices of a choir. So I always come back to the origins of all stories. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where the truth lies. Yeah. So my process normally involves really staying in the spirit of whatever happens that day. I never approach this instrument with an idea about what I want to do or how I want that thing to be. I always let the spirit of my ancestors guide me to make the choices that I'm making. There are very few places in the world that one can always be right. And this is my opportunity to exercise that opportunity. There's nothing that I can play, there's nothing that I can program or create that is wrong here in this space. And I try to take that opportunity and maximize it. I never use the same sounds twice. That's part of my oath to just keep the energy fresh and never repeat the same idea. Another thing that I try to do is I always try to incorporate some level of voice or an instrument that is a real instrument, whether it be a live snare or a kick that's from a real kick drum or something like that, just to kind of keep a bit of a non-tech in this electronic realm that I'm kind of exploring sound. What I'm finding inside the music, especially these days, is that it's missing soul. It's missing a colossal amount of integrity and connective tissue to its original source, which ultimately, we spoke about when we talked earlier about a lot of this stuff comes from the black church. All of this, directly or indirectly, is coming from the motherland of Africa. And I think sometimes, it's important to make sure that I emphasize that even in my own music. So even in these sounds here, these are just one shots. Yeah, and it's the combination of these sounds in context of rhythm, and that makes this thing music. And yeah, that's my goal, is to manifest in that way that feels natural and just true to myself as a Detroiter. The reason for creating a UMA in part was because when I was getting on these planes, I never saw anybody that looked like myself. I never saw anybody that looked like me. So coming back here to the city and partnering up with Mad Mike from Underground Resistance and Cornelius Harris, we thought about doing this work, but what I found is that I had to tap into a bit of my past in order to tap into my future. Being that my father was self-employed, he had us on the truck since I was 8 years old, doing construction and probably stuff that we didn't really have no business doing at that age. But I'm glad that he did, because those lessons that I learned during my summers, during my weekends, they're really the reason why Underground Music Academy is here. And that construction skill set, that determination was something that, like, you just can't buy that. That's something that you actually just born with or not. And that determination is largely why this building is being built from the ground. These classes didn't build themselves, you know what I'm saying? They were developed, schemed out on paper. That paper became a computer drawing. That computer drawing got printed out, and those ideas were executed strategically. I'm 90% of the work that has happened here, besides, like the things that need a person with a degree or some paperwork or some type of license to actually do. Everything outside of that, I've done myself with my own hands. Sample, and I want to save that. You go here and save. Our goal is for mentorship. I think that's the best way to teach an individual. In the same way that AMP taught us by doing and hands-on conversation, what he did for us is exactly what we do here. Like I teach by going on the road sometimes. Sometimes, like we will have a formal class. We offer formal education in terms of workshops and paid courses, affordable paid courses. So we offer you keys to the world under the guidance of somebody, whoever the instructor is, under their tutelage and experience of the world. So we teach you hands-on, firsthand information that adds value to whatever it is that you want to do through mentorship and through paid courses. These classrooms, besides me and a handful of really faithful others, we put in these floors. We built these cabinets. We bought we painted these walls. And I think it takes that level of great pride in order to not just build an academy, but to serve the people that are in it. What up, though? I'm Waajeed, and I am Detroit History.